Hi, my name is Dan. The issue today is increasing economic inequality a serious problem? Joseph E. Stiglitz says yes. From slow growth and inequality are political choices. We can choose otherwise. He argues that inequality results from exploitation and should be reduced. He suggests ways to combat these problems, which the corporations will fight. The U.S. is a rich country with millions of poor people. A child's chance of being successful is more dependent on his or her parents' income and education. The U.S. has more inequalities than any other advanced country. Inequality undermines our economy. Wealth at the top arises from exploitation. It is from the exercise of monopoly power, deficiencies in corporate governance laws to divert large amounts of corporate revenues to pay CEOs outsized bonuses unrelated to true performance, predatory and discretionary lending, and abusive credit card practices. America is less of a land of opportunity than even most countries of old Europe. The children of the rich living in rich areas get a better education than the poor living in poor areas. At the college level, the poor cannot afford the advanced degrees or to perform unpaid internships that provide the alternate route to good jobs. In healthcare, America is unique among advanced countries because it does not recognize healthcare as a basic human right. Therefore, the poor get less adequate medical care than in other advanced countries. America spends a lot more on healthcare than other advanced countries, yet many are without healthcare. Monopoly profits reaped by drug companies, medical device makers, health insurers, and highly concentrated provider networks drive prices and inequality. Inequality in healthcare begins even before birth. Mothers have less access to good prenatal care. It increases infant mortality, making it comparative to rates in the developing world. Nutrition of food in poor schools affects success in the classroom. They are given the cheapest food, which is carbohydrates, which leads to childhood diabetes and obesity. The U.S. tends to invest more in schools with richer student bodies than in those with mostly poor students, which is due to local tax bases for funding local schools. If we provided more opportunity to the poor, including health care and education, giving the poor access to better paying jobs, perhaps we would not have to spend so much on the prison system. It pays to invest in people. If we had a better public transportation system to get people to work, better child care, then a higher percentage of people would be working and paying taxes. Closing tax loopholes on the rich would provide more tax revenues. If the U.S. imposed the same rate of tax on the capital that the rich collect as it does on the hard-working poor, the U.S. would raise about $2 trillion over the next 10 years. If the corporate tax rate were increased to a level of which they are supposed to pay, it would raise revenue by hundreds of billions of dollars. If we taxed pollution, including carbon emissions, we could raise hundreds of billions of dollars every year. We could tax land, oil, and minerals more and force those who extract from public resources to pay for the full value of those resources, which rightly belong to all the people. We could spend that money on public investments like education, technology, and infrastructure. This would result in higher productivity and growth. The money could provide more shared prosperity for all and lessen inequality. In contrast to Joseph E. Stiglitz, Robert Rector and Rachel Sheffield from Understanding Poverty in the United States, Surprising Facts About America's Poor, the Heritage Foundation, 2001, argues that inequality in America is not so bad when you look at the facts. The living conditions of the poor have increased for decades. 1 in 7 Americans were poor in 2010, according to the Census Bureau. Most believe that poor people are unable to provide nutritious food, clothing, or reasonable shelter for one's family, and not being able to meet basic needs. If these characterize the poor, few people in America can be labeled poor. Federal surveys show the actual standard of living of America's poor in terms of amenities in the home, housing, food consumption, and nutrition is far higher than expected. According to the 2009 America Housing Survey, 80% of the poor have air conditioners, 90% have microwaves, 75% have 2 or more cars or trucks, 66% have a DVD player and a VCR, 50% have Xbox or PlayStation, 40% have a dishwasher, 33% have a widescreen plasma or LCD TV, 25% have a digital video recorder, more than half have a cell phone. Nearly all have color TVs, telephones, oven, stove, and refrigerator. Half had a computer, cable or satellite TV, air conditioning, internet service, a large screen TV, non-portable stereo, computer printer, separate freezer or second refrigerator, microwave, and at least one color TV. 25% have 7 or more of these 10 listed items. The poor have had a steady improvement in living conditions. Year after year for decades, the poor have been better off. What was once luxuries for the middle class decades ago have become commonplace in poor households. When a new product comes out, the price is high, but it falls over time so that the poor can afford them. There is little or no evidence of poverty-induced malnutrition in the U.S. Surveys show that nutrient density does not vary by income class. However, overconsumption of calories is a major problem for both the poor and the general U.S. population. 96% of poor parents say that their children have never been hungry during the previous year due to lack of food resources. 1 out of 470 persons was homeless in 2009. However, many of the homeless were in shelters. Only 1 out of 180 poor persons was on the street without shelter. The majority of the poor do not suffer homelessness. They live in non-crowded housing and in good repair. Share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.